Well, welcome everyone to Anxiety Simplified podcast. I am Joanne Williams, and I'm here to share some powerful strategies I've used with clients as a 30-year mental health professional to lower anxiety simply that you can use in your home. And we're bringing this right into your home or car. So we hope this can make your life just a little easier, happier. And we really want to thank our loyal listeners for making this possible. So sit back and enjoy. And today we have a very special guest, Pattie Grimm, and then I'm going to introduce in just a moment. But she's a returning guest because I really enjoyed her book, and I'm going to put this up. You're not going to see it on the podcast, but you're gonna see this on the video. But it's Quiet Women Never Changed History, and and I think this is so important about ways to empower more women to read this. I really want more women to read this, Pattie. So I'm really glad you're here. And she has a special offer for you too. So listen for that. But I really do think this is a really timely subject, how we need more women back in the workplace. And we'll talk more about some of that. But this is part one of two that we will be doing on this because I feel like this is such an important subject to empower more women's internal brilliance to shine. And Pattie's going to talk about in part one, 5 proven steps to empower women into leadership positions. And Pattie's story is so inspiring. I really want her to tell it. But first, let me just tell you a little bit about Pattie. She is a speaker, trainer, and her energy, you'll feel it, is so enthusiastic for empowering women and girls. She's proven practical approaches that can be applied by all women of all ages and stages of their career. And that's why I really wanted Pattie back to talk again, because she has so much to share to inspire women to be their best that they can be in whatever endeavor they choose. But she's been a senior leader for several global Fortune 100 companies like Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson. And she now runs a training and consulting company. So you could actually ever come speak. And she has run the 1,000 miles in high heels, kicking this glass ceiling and sharing her rock star from rock bottom story that she'll share with us. But I can't wait to hear more of her wise advice in our part one and part two of this podcast about resilience and grit and how to bounce back with emotional agility. So welcome, Pattie. I know that was kind of a long intro, but I'm glad to have the conversation with you. I want to hear your story.
I'm always embarrassed and say those are written for my mother and my dad. So I'm always embarrassed when people read those things. So yeah. I want to start off, but I want people to imagine this. I want you to imagine it's 5:30 in the morning on another damp, wet, gray day in Redmond, Washington, just outside of Seattle. It's 5:30 in the morning. There's a woman on the floor in a combination of sweat and tears, trying to get the energy up to go to the job that she loves. She's been with the company for 14 years, has been very successful, was a rock star on the fast track to success. And suddenly she finds herself laying on that bathroom floor, trying to get the energy to get up. She's gone to doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, healers, counselors, people like you, Joanne, searching for meaning, searching for how she got to where she was and what happened to her and how she could get back to the path. And being told she had anxiety, depression, adrenal gland failure, Hashimoto's, gained 35 pounds, losing her hair, would go into work and couldn't concentrate, couldn't think. I loved to shop and I loved to cook, and I would try and make a recipe for my family and I'd miss half the ingredients. I couldn't even shop, which is a tragedy for women. I would go to a store to buy something and was so confused and so depressed that I'd walk out in tears. And that woman was me. That woman was me in 2013. At the time I was working for Microsoft, and I don't blame the company for what happened to me, but I lost sense of myself. I lost sense of who I was, my purpose, values, things that were important to me. I was working 70, 80 hours a week, traveling the world, and I lost me. That moment motivated me to spend 3 years interviewing over 3,200 men and women about what makes a great woman leader. And that led me to discover these 5 secrets. As I talked to all these people, they would tell me, here's what I did, and here's my best practice. And so I put those all together in these 5 things that any woman can do at any age to be that strong, confident woman leader and get off that bathroom floor, because it was cold.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think our listeners, I really want the women of the world to hear this because just thinking back over this last year with COVID-19 and additionally, when they were working those kinds of hours, well, now it's a shifted at your home, maybe, and you've got children in the background, and you're still supposed to be doing your job in the same capacities, but you've just got another whole load of stress on top of it. So I really think a lot of women can identify with this, especially this year. So I'm really excited to hear more about
Yeah.
these 5 steps. And one of my really big is the vision. I just feel like what I just heard from you, you kind of lost yourself was your
Yeah. I
word.
lost who I was.
And it's like, and I think that can happen anyways to mothers, young mothers, or anyone kind of going through things in their
Mhm.
life or different stages. And having that vision that does not go away, it might get bigger or change, but having that clear vision, I think helps to bring us back out, of that phase that you were kind of talking about. So I can't wait to, hear more about these 5 steps. So maybe you want to start there with us, if
Well,
you
and
would.
at one point I was talking to my counselor, like you, woman just like you, and she said, I want you to go see this woman doctor, and in a town, Bellevue, Washington, a few miles from where we lived. And I went to see the doctor that day. It was on a Friday. And I walked in and she gave me a few tests and asked me a few questions. And then she took out what I thought was a prescription pad. Now, I had doctors, describe or subscribing 2 and 3 different depression medication, anxiety medication, sleeping medication, all this stuff. And I wasn't getting any better. And when she pulled out that pad, I thought it was a prescription pad. And I yelled, no more pills, no more prescriptions. And she looked at me square in the eye and said, Pattie, it's not a prescription pad. I'm writing you an order that you go back to work. You tell them you're taking a sabbatical or you're taking a leave of absence, because if you don't take care of yourself, you'll be dead in 6 months. And I was one of these people prior to that happening. If somebody said they had depression or they had anxiety, it was like, snap out of it, right? Until it happened to me. So it could happen to anyone. Right now, there's a study that just came out from McKinsey and Lean In that 1 in 4 women are considering leaving the workplace or downsizing their career due to COVID. Like you said, you're homeschooling, you're working more than you ever did. You've got your entire family in the same space. You have no space to go anywhere except maybe walk outside. And so that really what happens to women, because we take on the burden of the extra childcare, the extra homeschooling, the extra everything in search to be perfect. And that's probably hurting us in many, many ways. The thing that helped me, the number one principle in the book is play strong and being strong to your strengths. So find out what your strengths are, be able to play to those strengths so you find roles that fit you. The number 2 value is stand up, which is all about, in order to stand up for yourself, in order to get my life and my career back on course, I needed that personal leadership vision that I wrote and forgot about. I was so busy trying to be people pleasing everybody else. I felt like a puppet. Go left, go right, go north, go south, go here, go there. Literally felt like a puppet because I had lost sense of who I was. I lost that vision. I knew who I was the prior year and the years of my career. I had lost myself and I didn't have that vision. So I had to recreate it. So the second principle is stand up. But in order to stand up, you need something to stand on. Just like when you build a house, it's got to have a strong foundation. We just moved to just north of Dallas, Texas recently, and we were looking at a lot of homes here where they had foundation problems. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy a house I'm going to build on and have a bad foundation. Well, you need a foundation in your life, and that is your personal leadership vision. A vision can change your life. A vision can keep you on course. And when you do go off track or find those moments of self-doubt, your vision can pull you back. You use your vision to make career and life decisions so you can stay on track. It's like your true north, your North Star, the thing that you work towards. And so here's what happened to me when I was in that moment. And I did take the time off to be able to find myself again. And I read a book, Louise Hay's, You Can Heal Your Life, right?
Yes.
Cheryl Richardson, Extreme Self-Care. I read these books and I did every exercise, including the mirror exercise, where you stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself and talk to somebody in your past that hurt you in some way so you can get over it. You know all these tools, right?
Yeah.
But what really got me back was I decided I was walking in the forest with my little pug one day because we live next door to a forest. I did this every morning. I had a headset on, and I had music that inspired me. This girl is on fire. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think I can fly. And so I'm singing these songs at the top of my lungs. I'm a terrible singer with my dog at 6:30 in the morning in the forest. I'm surprised the neighbors didn't call the police and said there's a weird homeless person. But what hit me like I could have had a V8, that old commercial, was I lost my vision. So what I did and what you can do, and if you email me and I'll give you my information at the end, I will send you a free PDF guide on how to write your personal leadership vision, what it is, how you write it, what you do with it once you've got it. But here's the shortcut version. I want you to find your favorite place. Mine is always outside by water or in some sort of nature. It might be your garden. It might be a certain place that you love, that you've gone to since you were a child, or a place that brings you peace. So go to your favorite place, take your favorite pen and your favorite journal, and I want you to close your eyes and imagine in 5 years you are on your favorite show. What's your favorite talk show, Joanne?
Well, it used to be Oprah.
It used to be Oprah.
Yeah. I mean, that would be, that still, I guess she still does have a show. So I guess I'm going to still say Oprah.
Yeah. So Oprah was mine at the time that I did this, but now it probably is the Ellen Show, right? I still want to be on the Ellen Show, and I'm working on that. But I want you to imagine you're on your favorite show and you are surrounded by your friends, your family, your coworkers, your boss, everybody you've ever worked for and worked with. And it's 5 years in the future, because your vision is usually in the future and better than exists today. Regardless of where you are, there's some place that's fundamentally better. And I want you to imagine that you're hearing the words people are saying. And they're saying things like compassionate, made a difference, inspiring, dedicated, loyal, helpful, resourceful, strategic, smart, bright, intelligent, integrity. I want you to just sit there for a few minutes and hear the words in your head. That I want you to open your eyes and start writing down the words. Just write them down randomly, almost like a thought association game. What words do you want people to say about you? And if you want to think about it today, what words do you want people to say about you when you leave a function or department, go to another place, or when you leave the room? You want them to say, Joanne is a compassionate, amazing, talented, dedicated therapist, right? Absolutely. Who makes a difference in the world. So you want them to say those words about you, and you don't want to have the but on the end, but.
Yeah.
No buts.
Take that off.
No buts. But I want you to do so for a course of a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Mine probably took me a couple of weeks. I would go back to the same place a couple times a week. It was on Lake Washington. And I would write more words, and then I kind of scratch words out and fine tune it. And I finally came down to a vision statement, which can be as short as 3 words, which my short version is to make a difference, or as many as about 13 words. Too long, it's too hard to remember, because you want to be able to say it in a minute when somebody says, what's your purpose? What's your why? Why do you do what you do? And mine was, she's a passionate, dedicated woman who makes a difference by empowering women and girls to be the best they can be. My short version is to make a difference. Now, once you write your vision, I want you to put it someplace you're going to look at it every day. The perfect spot is your bathroom mirror.
Yeah, absolutely.
All look in it, or put it in your makeup bag, or put it on your computer screen. I want you to write it down and visualize it. And whenever you are faced with a tough decision, career or life, I want you to use that vision to make your decision. I'll use myself as an example. When I worked at Microsoft, I had a choice of going to Germany and working for our European team and running a business excellence team and living in Europe. I'd be living in Germany. I'd be servicing Central Eastern Europe, servicing a business excellence team. And I had a second career choice at the same time of going to Asia, living in Singapore, and running the customer partner experience team. I picked Asia. My vision is to make a difference. In Europe, they had 1,000 people on the corporate staff. In Asia, they had 60. Where could I make the biggest difference? In a small fish in a big pond in Europe, 1,000 people, or as a big fish in a small pond with 60 people servicing an amazing organization. And it was the best decision I ever made. So now every time I'm faced with a career or life decision, I ask myself, what is my vision? Or if I find myself off course, how did I get off course and how do I get back to making a difference? We're all going to have career ups and downs. Your vision should be your anchor, your North Star that keeps you focused, right? It's so important, and it's so important for women because we get pulled in so many directions.
We do. Yeah.
We get pulled in so many directions. So that's the first two.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. And as you were saying that, it's like getting to the heart of it and feeling it as you create this, because being in the beautiful place and you're saying these wonderful encouraging words. But that's what I feel like with affirmations. It's great to say the words, but if you don't get them to your heart and truly feel them, you're not going to believe it. So getting that right to your heart, and I could feel that as you said those words, that you are living. And I think that is a big difference. And you made me started thinking about my words as you would say that. But you know what else came to mind? I felt like I also need a vision for or towards something bigger than me. And you kind of mentioned the foundation. You have to have something kind of holding you up. And I feel like with COVID, one of the things it really did for me, it made me think bigger than me. I had to have something that was going to pull me into doing something I'm uncomfortable with doing, because it's bigger, it's more important than I am about it. I want to help more people. So I think your vision really includes all of that.
And I spend a lot of time volunteering for young girls in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. I volunteer in a lot of different areas. I started volunteering at Habitat for Humanity recently.
Oh, wow.
And doing something that scares you. Talk about working with power tools. It was I lost every fingernail between the move and working at Habitat.
Wow. Yeah, you're braver than me. I haven't figured out power tools. I'm not sure I trust myself that much.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we have a few more minutes, so I want you to keep going with the 5 proven steps.
Yeah. Let me give you 3, 4, and 5 relatively quickly.
Please.
So 3 is really, really important for women as well. It's about standing out. It's about being valuable, being visible, and being vocal. So once you know your strengths, and you find jobs and careers that fit your strengths, and you have your vision to keep you on course, then I want you to become so valuable at what you do. Go take certificate programs or free courses on LinkedIn or Udemy. If you want to go become the world's best cloud coder or something, go take the certificates you need to do. If you want to be a therapist, then go take the courses and the things you need to do. You can find many of these things free nowadays, or even watch YouTube videos just to round out your life and career. So be valuable, but be more visible and be more vocal. Women, I want you to learn to say, I did it. Not my team did it, I did it. If you can't do that, I want you to say, my team and I did this. Typically, when it happens to a woman, when something goes well, they say, oh, it was no big deal. Oh, I could have done it better. Or it was my team. Well, learn to start saying my team and I. And be visible. So be present in those meetings. When you're on Zoom meetings, please take a minute, just dress yourself up from the head up, get on Zoom, turn your camera on, look at the camera, make sure that you're the same height. Like I literally will adjust my camera so that I'm relatively the same height as you. I'm not bigger and I'm not smaller. That's good. Right. And take up the space. Confidence comes in your physical body first, by standing or sitting with your head up, your ears over your shoulders, your head looking forward, and being able to take up the space you need and not making yourself look small.
Yeah, or shrinking with the shoulders. Or
shrinking. I mean, literally, you'll see women in meetings in the old days when we had face-to-face meetings, they take this little bitty space.
Yeah.
Men do this.
Yeah. 50% of communication is body language. So if people aren't sitting up straight, if you don't have your head high, and, even a half smile or something that you appear like you're listening and interested it's really important. Well, Cheryl Sandberg, lean in. I mean, that's just another way of showing I care and I'm listening. So
Yeah,
absolutely
and so
good.
you want to combine strength with empathy. So you want to combine the confidence,
Yeah.
because women with a combination of confidence and empathy advance further and faster. If you're all about command, 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 you're going to be called that B word that rhymes with itchy or bossy. But if you combine strength and confidence with empathy, then you're going to go further in your career. You're going to have a much better opportunities in life. And you're right. I mean, it's you know when somebody walks in a room and is confident.
You do. And that is being shown as by a Harvard study as the reason that women in finance now in so many countries, because they do combine those skills of empathy with decision making, but that empathy to listen and collaborate and help with even vulnerable communities is actually being showing as their strengths.
Yeah, look at the countries that have handled COVID the best. Women. Jacinda, can't remember her last name, in New Zealand, is amazing. And there was a quote she had that somebody told her that being empathy was a weakness as a leader. And she responded, if being empathy is a weakness as a leader, then you're crazy, because it's the best thing leaders can do. They've handled it the best. And all of this, so she had a major mass shooting in one of their major cities where she immediately banned assault rifles. They had a major earthquake in the capital and almost brought the capital to its knees. They had the COVID crisis. They've had several other things. She's guaranteed equal pay for women of color and Indigenous people, which is about half of Australia. They've and all of this while she was pregnant and now raising an infant child.
Yeah, it was interesting that there was a teleconference and she had a baby in her arm and she had like this kind of messy looking t-shirt that had milk stains on it. She was like to me the epitome of power, of a real woman doing all of it, and then at the same time being able to think logically, present plans in a way that was helping a whole entire nation through crisis.
Yeah, she's amazing, and you should follow her and read some of her quotes. I'm sure eventually she'll write a book at some point in time, but she's pretty amazing. And what's interesting is there was a commercial or a YouTube that went around for a while, or it was on the wire for a little bit, about a guy that was interviewing for a job, and the little baby crawled into the room while he was interviewing on Zoom, and the wife comes in and tries to pull the baby out, and everybody said, "Oh, isn't that special? He's a great dad." A woman is in that same situation in a Zoom meeting and the kid comes up, or she does have milk stains on her shirt. And many people still say, I wonder how she's balancing it all. I wonder if her family's doing okay. You don't say that about the men, because there's a double standard that we could spend hours talking about. Okay, so number four is put yourself number one on your things to do list. You cannot pour from an empty teacup. If you don't have energy, self-esteem, passion, the things that are going to make you strong, you can't pass it on to your team, your children, your family, your friends. So you have to put yourself number one on the things to do list. When I crashed and burned from rock star to rock bottom, I wasn't number one on my list. I wasn't in the top 10. I wasn't even on the list.
Right.
So you have to put yourself first. So, in a Zoom meeting, just go outside between meetings for 5 minutes and breathe some fresh air.
Yeah.
Hug a child, hug a dog, a cat, your significant other. Do something. Get up and just do a few stretches. Book meetings for 25 minutes, 30, and 55 minutes, not 60. Yeah. The other person will respect you and love you, and you'll get 5 minutes to get up and walk outside, even in the snow.
Women, listen to this one. I really think this is a huge key that we just don't hear any place. Basically, take care of yourself first.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Get Cheryl Richardson, extreme self-care.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody like Joanne.
Yes.
Yeah. The last one is pay it forward.
Oh, that's nice.
Pay it forward to the next generation of women and men leaders. Raise brave boys and extremely strong girls, and just simply pay it forward. We owe it to the world to leave the world a better place for the next generation of leaders, women leaders, and people to come. So just leave the world a better place and pay it forward.
That is so important and so critical. And I think as women, we do think that way a lot. And I think that is really is being conscious that that is what many women do is really important to appreciate about yourself.
Yeah.
As a woman, that you are willing to do something for someone else and paying it forward, even for a whole generation, you could make an entire difference.
And I want people to be your best self, because everybody else is taken. Don't compete, collaborate. Don't
Yes.
sabotage, support. Be there to help somebody lift, if you lift everybody up, all boats rise. And really look at the world as having that sort of, it's a limitless pie if we can help each other move forward. And the world will be a better place.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Patty. I really, really appreciate you being here in part one. And then we are going to go take a break. And then we are going to come back for the part two, really about empowering women's resiliency to bounce back and have that emotional agility we all really need to learn and use to embrace the change that we're all feeling right now. So I appreciate you being here. And so I'm just going to say for now, for this moment, thank you for listening, my podcast guests. And we really do appreciate you and want you to show us support by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to our podcast. Or share this with another woman who you think this can help. Because in part two, Patty is going to have a special for you that for her book, and we're going to put this in the show notes, that you can actually get her book on special, and she'll have the free PDF guide for your vision in these, so you can get this and use this today. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.